the doctors panel from the Steak and Butter Gang meetup in Bozeman, Montana in July of 2025. I'm going to highlight for you what Dr. Shawn Baker, Dr. Robert Kiltz, and Dr. Lisa Wiedeman had to share about their journey as carnivores themselves, as well as their patients and the studies that they are doing. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so, and make sure you grab my guide at lowertoxiclife.com. And you can follow my whole carnivore journey at the link above, and I will also put it in the show notes. So again, I'm Jackie Elmer. Welcome to my channel at lowertoxiclife.com. I am thrilled to say that I recently attended my very first meetup where I was so happy to meet Dr. Shawn Baker, author of The Carnivore Diet and one of the OGs of launching what is called the Carnivore Diet. I think he was one of the early ones, if not the first. You can Google that. I'm not saying I'm 100% accurate on that, but I think he was one of the first, if not the first, to start calling it carnivore as he began this journey and was basically eating only meat, which is really what he does. He is meat, salt, and water for the most part. I'm trying to think. I don't think he drinks coffee or any of that. Now, first thing I want to say is I am giving you a disclaimer. I am not telling you what to do. None of this is to be taken as medical advice or even health coaching, even though I'm a health coach. What I'm doing is sharing my own experiences, what I learned and listened to and took notes on at the event, and what I've read in their books and watched in their videos. So just enjoying this for entertainment purposes. And if you decide to try some of this, I wish you the best. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Just go to call.lowertoxiclife.com if you want to have a conversation, and let's do that. All right, so one of the most important things that they started with is your body always wants to heal. Now, just attending this event, I have to tell you, it was roughly around 90 to 95 people there. It was a small, intimate event held at a wedding venue. It was absolutely gorgeous, picturesque, out in Bozeman, Montana, at the Rockin' TJ Ranch, I believe that it was. And it was such a nice, quiet setting to be able to meet people from all over the world, literally from Canada to Australia to different places, and talk about the cruddy American US supply of food and the differences in that regard. And the fact that no matter where we're all from, we all come together and we all had a common theme of wanting to heal chronic issues. A lot of people wanted to lose weight. Overall, people just wanted to live longer, live better, live more functional, and be peak performers, as I like to say, all the way through. You know, if you followed me, you know that my goal is to be a centenarian, but not a sedentary one, but one that's out hiking Machu Picchu and the Camino de Santiago in Spain and France and all the rest of it. So remember, your body always wants to heal. And it was amazing attending this event and listening to the stories of people who had healed everything from cancer diagnosis to weight loss to IBS to having gallbladders removed and having everything come together. Parkinson's disease, a 40-plus year vegan who his teeth were rotting. I mean, just so many stories that were amazing. And the thing that's so powerful about that is nobody was there trying to sell me anything. So it wasn't like these stories were prefabricated because they were looking to sell me a supplement or a program or any of that. They simply were sharing their stories and either sharing the exciting story that they had healed themselves or their journey in the healing process. And that's me. I was there to learn, to grow, to help heal some of these digestive issues that I know today came from the overload of the vegetables, seeds, and nuts that I was over consuming of these toxic superfoods. So what they also really drove home was the point that this is ancestral eating. It's an ancestral eating protocol. There's nothing crazy about this style of eating. There's nothing that's a fad about this style of eating. There's nothing that's disordered about this style of eating. We evolved as the human species with this style of eating. Our early ancestors ate fat and animal protein, fat and animal protein. And in summers, when they could get certain vegetables, fruits, and maybe a limited amount of nuts or seeds, out of the ground. They did that, but they ate local, they ate seasonal, and the bulk of their diet was built around animal protein and fat. And of course, they used the animal for everything, the skins, for their clothing, for blankets, for tents, for all of that. And so, as I've shared before, one of my things is, did my early ancestors do this? So it makes total sense to me that this is a style of eating, that there's nothing fad about it. It's just that we are now going back and erasing all of the food marketing and so-called food science that we've been spoon-fed, that's not quite accurate. And I'm just going to give you a little clue. You know how you've heard that spinach has, a great amount of iron? It does, but did you know it doesn't have the same type of iron? Like I think it's called heme, Heme iron that animal protein has. And if you go research it, you find out that the amount of iron in spinach that's actually bioavailable to the human body is minuscule. It's minuscule. So what it does in rats, mice under the microscope, or it shows up in that way, absolutely has nothing to do and no correlation with what the actual human body can assimilate. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. I'm not a scientist. I am a researcher, though, and I do a lot of this research because I want to understand for myself what I'm being told, what I'm learning. You can go out and Google it, use ChatGPT, have a whole conversation out there about what we know about spinach and iron. It will raise some eyebrows for you, and it'll probably catapult you into questioning a whole lot of other things that you've been told about vegetables, fruits, seeds, nuts, and the plant-based diet or vegan style of eating. And one of the questions that was asked is, what is the one vegetable, fruit, seed, or nut, legume that's found all around the world that every human body must have to survive? And the answer to that is none. There isn't one. We do not need carbohydrates as the human species to continue living. If you never eat another one in your life, you will still continue to survive and thrive. What you do need of the macronutrients that you cannot live without is protein and fat. Protein and fat. And again, the logical side of it made me think, yeah, well, up in Antarctica, they don't have the same plants that I have in Scottsdale, Arizona, or that you have wherever you are. And chances are you don't have the same ones that I have. And so my body has adapted to eating locally and eating seasonally. And I also saw something interesting about how vegetables were really never meant for human consumption. We don't have four stomachs. There's a whole theory behind that. But fruit potentially was in a limited amount because it's bright, it's colorful, and the fruit itself, most often, there are exceptions, oranges, lemons, citrus for sure, where there's other components of it that plant into the ground that grow and reproduce. So you don't always have to have the fruit itself to plant. There's another part of the tree, bush, whatever the fruit grows on, that seeds and continues on that, procreates, if you will, for that plant. And that made sense too. But again, we would have only gathered just a small amount as our ancient ancestors living in that time frame. When you stop and think about what it took to crack a nut open, even, you wouldn't have eaten very many because it was a lot of work back then to crack a nut under a couple of rocks or something like that. We don't have the mass production and the glyphosate and the GMO and all the stuff that unfortunately goes into, for sure, our almond supply today. So all of that came together too. So the only two macros that we need, protein and fat. Do we need carbs if you're an athlete? Well, if you've ever seen Dr. Shawn Baker's picture, I think there's a picture of him in here. I'll put it up on the screen. If you've ever seen his picture, you know, he's a very massive individual. He's very fit. He's 59 now, I think, or about to turn 60. He's very muscular, very fit. He works out and he does not eat carbohydrates. And you can just look at him and see that he does a very full body workout on a regular basis. So he defies that theory that you have to have carbs to be a high profile, high functioning, high performing athlete. Dr. Anthony Chaffee was supposed to be at this event. Unfortunately, his father is very critically ill, if still living. I'm not quite sure where we are in that process. And so he was unable to make it, but he's another one. He is in his 40s. He's super fit and he's been a lifelong athlete too, which honestly, it was his athletic path that took him into carnivore eating when one of his professors or a coach or something said, I don't ever eat vegetables. Why would you possibly do that to your body? And he started thinking about it and he quit. Now, Dr. Robert Kiltz, who is well known as a fertility doctor, he's run a very popular, very world famous fertility clinic for years, and he has several of them around the country. And he is a major carnivore, and he's not a purist either. I had a great conversation with him. He said, do I occasionally indulge in an alcoholic beverage? Almost never, but occasionally. I'm a coffee snob. Do I occasionally have coffee? Yes, I do. I balance it back and forth. These were the things that he told me. Do I occasionally eat a couple bites out of a cupcake at one of my grandkids' birthday parties? Yes. And I love the fact that he was very real, very honest about it, but very strict, 99.999% of the time he sticks to it. But he really helped educate us on the lymphatic system and the importance of fat. So if you're dealing with certain issues, and as I shared in another video with my daughter's cancer diagnosis, which is a cancer of the blood, and the lymphatic system is very important in that, it's really important to get that high quality fat to feed that, because the first thing that it does is go through the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system disseminates it all throughout the body so that it can go and do in the cells, it can do cellular repair and cellular rejuvenation and fuel the cell in the way that it's meant to be fueled, to fuel the positive things and starve out the negative things such as cancer. So I really got a lot out of that, understanding better fat in the lymphatic system. Now, one of the things that they all talked about was, if you're starting down this journey and you're carnivore curious, even start slowly, wade in slowly, have patience with yourself, have patience with your body. It's super easy to watch all these videos of people who've, one of the guys there had already lost 350 pounds, and he's well on his way to lose probably at least another 200 to 300. I have his picture up here, Todd. He was the instigator, if you will, behind bringing it to Montana. He did an amazing job. He shared his story. He's just got an amazing story, and he's super inspiring. But you talk about someone like that, you talk about having patience because sometimes people experience hair loss. And a lot of that is just that it's kind of a shock to your system to completely change the way that you're eating when you've done something different in the past. So there's that shock to your system that you often have to go through and experience. But if you're just patient and you give it time, your body will course correct. Some people hold on to weight, they don't lose weight as quickly. And there's a lot of different things for that. So they all talked a lot about having patience and being willing. If you've been overweight for 20 years, for instance, I have a theory that I do 1 month for every year. So I would give myself 20 months to clean everything up and ultimately get to my end goal. Now, that may sound dissatisfying to some people who are looking for that quick fix, but what I promise you is, well, I shouldn't say I promise you, because I can't absolutely promise you, but what I believe will happen for you, like it has for many other people, is that you will begin to see and experience progress along your way, which is going to fuel your excitement. You're going to have some weight loss. You're going to have some inches go away. You're going to feel your joints start to ease up and that inflammation go away. Some of that brain fog go away. You'll start sleeping better. Some of those digestive issues, so many different things that I believe you will begin to feel and experience as healing, that it will keep you on your journey. Now, they talked a little bit about inflammation. One of the things that I believe it was Dr. Kiltz said is that a lot of inflammation is just plants rotting in our gut. Because here's the reality of it. The fiber that's in so many plants, most of that is undigestible. It's insoluble fiber, I believe it is. We process it through our body undigested. Now, that's why it bulks up in your system and it forces you to go to the bathroom. So if you're constipated, that's why they say have fiber, because it bulks up and it forces things out of your system. But when I started thinking about that, I thought to myself, does it really seem healthy to be processing food through your body undigested? No, that doesn't logically make sense to me. That seems unhealthy. It seems like an unhealthy burden on, if you've ever looked at the length of your intestines, for instance, thinking about all of that having to travel through there and get all the way out of your system undigested. I can see where that leaves a lot of room for damage and blockage and rotting and a lot of different things along the journey. So again, I'm just going to ask you to put your logical thinking cap on and ask yourself, does it make sense to you? And then somebody brought this up and I thought it was so really eye-opening, is the Instapot theory. If you've followed Plant Paradox, Dr. Stephen Gundry, if you followed any of his theories about lectins, okay, if you go through and you look, there's about 7 different levels of toxins and poisons and environmental things that plants and seeds and nuts have in them. Lectins, flavonoids, and certainly these oxalates. There's more, but those are the ones that come to mind for me right now. His whole theory was using the Instapot to like drain beans and legumes and nightshades and rice and all these different things to get the starch and get the anti-nutrients out of these food items before the human body would eat them. And somebody said, why would you work that hard to eat something that clearly doesn't want to be eaten when there are so many other options that you have out there that you can eat that make more sense? And again, running the logic meter, I thought that does make sense. Why would I work that hard to eat something that doesn't want to be eaten, that's not designed to be consumed by the human body? Maybe it's designed to be consumed by cows grazing out in a pasture, right? The rudimentary animals that have 4 stomachs, and they're designed to be herbivores. They're designed to eat the grasses and to process the cellulose that's in them and to provide the nutrients from that into their muscles and fibers and into the food that we actually eat, so that we also then get the nutrients, get the fiber, but it's processed in a way that our body is designed to handle. So again, that made sense. Another topic that was shared is that autoimmunity is created with food. Your body is fighting something that you're putting into it, that it's trying to say, get rid of this. But the only way that it can do it is to attack your own body. That's what autoimmunity is. It's where your body is attacking a part of your body. And again, that kind of made sense to me. It's like, well, if you eliminate all the toxic things, if you do a true elimination diet, which is what a carnivore diet really truly is, it's the ultimate elimination diet, then if you're so inclined and you want to, although part of me thinks, why? If you heal yourself and you're feeling great, why mess with Mother Nature, so to speak? But if you wanted to, then you could begin to introduce different foods back in, one at a time, maybe one every 10 days, just so that you give your body really time to assimilate it, process it, and decide how it's going to deal with it. And then Dr. Lisa Wiedeman, who is an eye doctor, and she's been, I think she was the longest carnivore of all of them. I think she's 15 or 16 years, if I remember right, maybe 10, 12, I can't remember, somewhere in there, over a decade. Anyway, she was amazing because she talked about, yes, a lot of people do experience eyesight improvement with this diet. Now I'm going to say I have, or I believe I have. I just went in and had my prescription because I was feeling some differences. I just had my eyes checked and I did improve. My contacts that he wrote me a prescription for, I didn't talk to him about diet or any of that, but he said, wow, you're going to like this. Your eyesight is improved. And I was like, oh, good. Well, I'm going to share that with the community as a possibility. And then the final thing that I'm going to mention are supplements, because that came up. Do you need to take supplements? Ideally, all of them across the board said no. Ideally, in the perfect world, everything that you need, vitamins and minerals and all of that, would come from your animal-based diet. For a lot of people who have chronic issues and who are in the healing phase and maybe are super depleted in the areas of magnesium, potassium, zinc, even iodine, I'm trying to think what else, calcium, if you're struggling with oxalate dumping, some different things like that, you may want to, or even need to, do some supplementation along the way to help your body detox some of those anti-nutrients out. And then over time, you can cut those back and see for yourself. So that is what I have to share today. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. grab my guide at lowertoxiclife.com. I'll be sharing more from the books and from my notes from the Steak and Butter Gang meetup in Bozeman, Montana from July of 2025. I am signed up to attend that again next year in Bozeman in July, and I'm also attending Meat Stock in Gatlinburg, Tennessee in May of 2026. So drop me a comment below if you're interested. I'll get you some details, or if you already are attending, let me know, because I would love to meet up with you there and get to know you a little better. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.